Hello, my name is Karen Seekings and I'm Head of Ethics and PSHE here at the IBIS School. Thank you for clicking on our video to watch it. I'd like to introduce you to our sixth form study room. We're very lucky to be in the position to have that. As you can see, we've got quite a lot of artefacts in the room which we use. I'm not sure if you can see the computer behind us, but we've got two of those for you. We've also got a library area in another corner, and some easy chairs where you can sit and chat. So what makes a good and successful student of ethics? So if you're someone who likes asking questions about the world, who's interested in people and what they're like and how they think, then this is a good course for you. So we look at issues that affect all of us. So for example, in ethics, we look at business ethics, which looks at how businesses act, how they relate to other people in the world, how they relate to other businesses. Are they ethical? Do they make good decisions? So for example, how do they make good and bad choices? What governs them making these decisions? So as a case study, we look at the Rana Plaza disaster, where decisions made by a company led to a building collapsing which killed 1,134 people. So I think you might find it quite interesting to look at the business ethics behind that, which led to the disaster, which businesses can now use to make sure their businesses are more successful. So another example would be sexual ethics. So this involves looking at gender differences, how male and females relate to each other, homosexuality, transgender issues, how ideas about all of these things have changed over time, and the right way to relate to and treat a partner. So ethics is one of the few subjects where there's often no correct answer to a question. Partly this is because there are some things we don't actually know the answer to, but they're fun to discuss anyway. So we look at things like, is there really a God? Can you prove or disprove the existence of God? Why is there evil in the world? Are things like visions and miracles real? Can they be scientifically proved? Is there even a place for religion in the 21st century? So how do you know what the differences between right and wrong are? And is there a life after death? So when answering questions like this, as long as you're able to give your own opinion and hold an argument, you will have a great basis for doing well in this course. If you like looking at different points and analysing them, then this is definitely the course for you.
Let's look at the nitty-gritty of the course. So we follow the OCR syllabus, and we do syllabus number H573, as you can see from the slide here. And there are three different parts to the course. So the first one is philosophy of religion, religion and ethics, and then development of religious thought. And the religions that we look at are Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. So let's have a look at some of these in a little bit more detail. I've already mentioned some of these things. So on the board, on the screen rather, you can see the different modules that we do in Year 12. Some of the more interesting ones, is there actually really a God? Can you prove or disprove the existence of God? Why is there evil in the world? Are things like visions and miracles real? And we also look at ancient philosophers like Plato and Aristotle and ideas about the soul and the mind. For example, are the soul and mind separate things? Do we have a soul that actually does live on after death? So then in Year 13, you can see that it gets to more specific philosophy, for example, religious language and its meaning and what God is like. So religion and ethics then. In ethics, we look at different ethical ideas used to help discover what is right and what is wrong. We look at utilitarianism, devised by Jeremy Bentham, who incidentally, his body has been preserved at the University College London. And if you're ever up there, you can go and see it. He asked for that to happen in his will. We also look at natural law and situation ethics. This looks at the idea of love being the most important thing when deciding how to act. Going the most loving thing is great, but this does mean that people can give different answers to the question, what is the best ethical choice to make, as different people would look at the most loving thing in a different way. So a good example of this would be euthanasia, also called mercy killing. The most loving thing for a 95-year-old man who has a heart condition and is in a coma might be different from a situation where a 32-year-old mother of two is in a coma. Making decisions like this mean that guidelines are different for each case. Also, I might consider loving, you might not want, so personal opinion is involved as well. Is this a good ethical theory, or is it better to have one with lots of rules to follow? We also look at sexual ethics, as I've already mentioned, as well as euthanasia and the ideas of Freud. In the development of religion, we look at some really interesting topics. One of my favourite to teach is death and the afterlife. This includes looking at ideas on whether there is an afterlife. If there is, what is it like? Is reincarnation real? Are near-death experiences real? What do religions say about it? What can we learn from art and literature? And is there scientific evidence for life after death? Another interesting topic is gender. Here we look at issues such as, is religion sexist? How are men and women perceived differently? Are religious ideas interpreted correctly? Are religious ideas acceptable in the 21st century? We also look at secularism in the world and discuss if religion is relevant in the 21st century or if it has been replaced by technology and science. Liberation theology is also an interesting topic. This looks at whether religious people actually help the poor or not. So here are some exam details. This gives the information about how the exam board marks the essay. As you can see, we have two assessment objectives. One is knowledge and understanding, and the other is analysis. As you can see from this, analysis plays quite a big part in the mark that you get overall. And if we have a look at this here, it shows you that 3 different papers that we've got are all weighted equally in the exam. And they're all added up to give you your overall grade. So here are some examples of philosophers and thinkers that we look at for each topic. These include people like Richard Dawkins, Thomas Aquinas, Descartes, Karl Marx, Freud, Mary Daly, Tom Wright, John Paul Sartre, John Calvin, Jesus, G.E. Moore, David Hume, Joseph Fletcher, A.J. Ayer, and many others. Obviously not all of them are on the PowerPoint slide. Some of these you might have heard of, others will become familiar to you. We also look at other different types of evidence and examples you can use to back up your ideas, which might not be as demanding, for example, situation from films or books. We have a list of film that can be useful, so studying is not just about reading, it can be about watching films too. This leads me on to textbooks, which we do provide. Here are some pictures for you to have a look at. We have one for year 12 and one for year 13. These were specifically written for the course and will help you prepare for essays and give you good background knowledge. We also have a lot of electronic resources, for example, Schoology, you might have heard about that. So we have some ebook revision guides and revision activities. Here is a sort of a screenshot of the top half of the Schoology page. You can see there are different folders, and the pink one down there talks about electronic books, and there's some revision. You can see revision grids and PowerPoints for each topic are mentioned there. We also do study period work, and there's lots of ideas there for you to improve your learning. We also have a department handbook for you, which contains lots of details of the course. It contains, actual topics and the mark scheme which the board use, which we also use to mark essays, personal learning checklists for each topics. These include essay titles to help you with revision and lots of other interesting bits of information as well. So I hope you've enjoyed looking around the department and hearing about what we do. If you have any questions, do let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll look forward to seeing you in September.